Welcome to episode number 8, Wrestling with Comedy. I am your host, the real deal, Joel Davis. And today's episode is titled The Year in Review 2025, the wild, the crazy, and the exciting ride in stand-up comedy. We're going to go over it all, what I heard, what I seen, what I experienced in stand-up comedy, and it's been a huge year. The biggest year to date out of my 3 years in the great entertainment field of stand-up comedy, being a comedian, promoter, and now podcaster. What a year it's been. I look back, I'm humbled by it. I'm surprised by it sometimes. I look at it like, wow, how was it pulled off? It was a lot of hard work, dedication, and anyone who gave me an opportunity, I sincerely appreciate it. And anybody who was involved in any way, I appreciate it. And I met some great people, great associates, and I even made some great friends during the run and the travel. I had done quite a bit of traveling in the year of 2025. So with that being said, we're going to go into the year of 2025. But before we do that, I want to let everybody know that 2026 is right around the corner. And that's why this episode's hitting you at the end of 2025. Episode number 8, The Year in Review 2025. And with 2026 coming up, Keeping It Real Comedy will pick up some steam. There are shows starting up in February 2026. Also, we're going to be back in Rainham, Massachusetts every Friday night, June, July, August, under the lights in the Rainham, Massachusetts area at the Seafood and Cones Restaurante. We're going to be there every Friday night. That'll be totaling 12 to 13 shows in a 3-month span. Yes, and we're going to be back there, excited about that. And also in the first quarter of 2026, there's some huge news. Big news that I'm involved in. It's the first quarter, which means anywhere between January, February, and March, it will hit the public. And when it does, it's going to hit it hard, and people are going to say, well, there's Joel Davis. That's right. I heard someone say the other day, is Joel Davis in a hiatus? We haven't heard much from Joel Davis. But let me tell you something. Don't ever count me out, because I'm still here and I'm working 24/7. You know, and it's one of those things that it's a passion, it's a love, and I've never been a quitter, and I'm always 1,000% in, or I'm not in at all, and I'm 1,000% in stand-up comedy. What a year 2025 has been. You know, there's been obstacles in 2025, and someone had even asked me in 2025. They said, Joel, if you don't run your shows, Keeping It Real Comedy, and book yourself on your shows, who's going to book you? And it was true. This person that asked me had been around the industry for many years, decades, knowledgeable promoter, and he knows that not many bookers will book me in New England. Yeah, whoa, wait a minute, you didn't know? Oh, well, we knew this now. This kind of transpired in the year 2025. It became pretty much common knowledge. Comedian Joel Davis blackballed in New England. Yeah, that's true. You know, we know what happened. But you know who else been blackballed? The late, great living legend. Bruno Sammartino was blackballed. Did you know that? Yes, he was. He was blackballed in the United States. And there's a story behind that. And he wasn't able to work for any of the NWA or WWF or any of the big leagues in the United States. He went to Canada. Bruno went to Canada. Someone gave him a call and suggested Canada. Went to Canada and was selling out in Canada. And Vince McMahon Sr. had called him back, and Bruno came back. And the rest is history, as he beat the Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers. The late, great Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers fell to Bruno Sammartino. And Bruno Sammartino, who was blackballed in New England, ended up becoming a huge star. I personally say the all-time great, Bruno Sammartino. That's my opinion. Right up there, top 3 of all-time greats in professional wrestling. So being blackballed, it's just it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's part about being controversial. Yeah, I'm controversial, real and raw. But anybody that knows me personally, I keep it real and raw, and I do help people out as much as I can. And I'm all about the business and all about bringing 1,000% effort to every show that I'm involved in, as far as helping promote or sell tickets or talk it up and stick with my time. I don't run the light. I respect everybody. Try to give a good atmosphere. I mean, I was even told in my show's Keeping It Real Comedy. Some comedians said, "Geez, the best time they ever had. It's so much fun behind the scenes." It's just the way that I roll. So it's the way I always will roll. But as far as being blackballed in New England as a comedian, that's another show for another episode. Today's episode is the year in review 2025. With 2026 just around the corner, we're going to talk about the 2025 year. And let me tell you, what a rush it was. It was so exciting, just like the title, so exciting, so exciting and wild and crazy. It really was. I started in January 2025 when the idea of Keeping It Real Comedy promotion came to about, and I was making some phone calls and looking into some details, and then that was January, and then it was late January. I was contacted by a gentleman out of Rhode Island who was working with the athletic youth athletic in Rhode Island, a football coach. And he asked me about bringing in a live stand-up comedy show to, it was actually, I got my notes here because I got so much to talk about. It was Woonsocket, Rhode Island, the Tara Club. And it was April 12th. And April 12th was the first show of Keeping It Real Comedy. What a show, what a crowd. It was wild. That would go in the title of that would be part of the wild star of Keeping It Real Comedy. It was a great show. It really was. And Keeping It Real Comedy started off with a big crowd, and it was I'd say without exaggeration, approximately 125 people in the audience. It was a fundraiser, and was glad we could help out and raise money for the children in the football league out there, and the athletic commission with Rhode Island. I also donated 50 posters of Jurassic Park on the side to the coach to give out to the children or raffle them off to bring in some more revenue for that great cause. Yeah, so this is like, that's the way that Keeping It Real Comedy started off. And it was great, and it was just, it ended up being a great show. It was a great show that kicked it off, and people started wondering, hey, well, geez, Joel Davis is now a promoter, and it became a buzz, and we talked about it in a previous episode. I had friends I didn't know I had, but wait a minute, they weren't even friends, but make-believe friends, so to speak. But it's not all about that. It's about giving different individuals opportunities. It was just putting people on the show. And April 12th, 2025 started off Keeping It Real Comedy. We've ran shows all the way through the year 2025, and we will be running again in 2026. Now, this show here, I'm looking at my notes here. This show here was April 24th, 2025. That was the next show of Keeping It Real Comedy. What a special show that was. That was out there at Morasco's Bar and Grill in Cranston, Rhode Island, and we had a stacked lineup. I mean, when I say stacked, I mean stacked. And that back room there at that nice venue holds approximately 40 people capacity, and we had close to the 40. I believe the head count was 36 people at that first show at that venue. We ended up running 6 shows there through 2025 with some great comedians from New York City, Ralph Duran, Elden Gashy from New Jersey, and also a feature comedian who came in twice for an appearance, who also worked that show on April 24. That was, check the date, April 24. That was Cameron Dwan. Cameron Newsom he goes by Cameron Dwan. Out of L.A., he comes in, and he's working side by side with greats like Tom Arnold in Los Angeles, California. This guy's no joke. He's also an actor on the side. He comes in, he kills it, crushes it, blows the roof off. And another comedian on that same show, April 12th, was Jim Biggie Smalls. Rest in peace, Jim Smalls, having what I believe and what I seen and what others had said, his best ever set on stage at that show, which makes me personally very happy because unfortunately he had passed away 2 days later on April the 26th. And, that show there, really was a great show, and I was happy to be there, hitting the headline spot. And I've been hitting the 20, 25, and even 28 minutes on stage, and and it's and that gets you that stage time. And, it's been known from, some other promoters and comedians, and they had said to get that kind of stage time, sometimes you need to make your way through, and you need to make some opportunities for yourself sometimes if you got the balls to do it, if you want to invest the money to do it, if you have the effort to do it, and you have the heart to do it, and connections possibly, and you want to put the work into it. And take the chances, and 9 out of 10 don't want to, but I did in 2025. I continue to take a chance, and that's my advice to any of the comedians out there, or promoters, or anybody in any entertainment, especially stand-up comedy. Depending on how much you want it. I mean, are you playing around? Are you just doing it to get your jollies on an open mic once in a while, or do you see a future? I see a future, and that's why I'm doing what I do, and I'm going to the top, baby. I didn't hesitate to say, and that's my thing. That's what I want to do. That's my vision, and I'm willing to pay the dues, and I'm continuing to learn, and I'm continuing to give opportunities, and continuing to make that effort. And 2025 was huge. Right after April 24, I fly out on the 26th, and I'm in Austin, Texas. So Austin, Texas, I get out there on the 26th. The unfortunate news, I find out that Jim Small had passed away. Walking that airport that day, I was very concerned about the family, and just a whole bit. It was just a tough situation that I heard this passing. But I had to get myself in the grind and make my way in Austin, Texas. And I'm looking here at here, and not every one of the shows that I was on I actually recorded, because some were only a couple minutes long. You get on right at the end on open mics, but some of these were 5-minute sets, and they're Shakespeare's. I even went up to the Velveeta Room and caught a great show up there in Austin, Texas. I did a quick open mic there in Creek in the Cave. And Roscoe's, nice show up there in Roscoe's. I was up there. I'm looking at the notes here. Roscoe's, the Gina Bar. Love that place. I didn't even know it was outside. It's actually a stage outside in the back. Did 2 shows there, and one of them in particular was... I had so much fun with that one, and some great comedians. And some of these comedians, I've seen them on the Kill Tony show since, and some have got golden tickets. Some are moving their way up. It just, for me, it gives me like an all-natural high to see these great people making their way up and chasing down their dream like I am. And they're out there, and they're doing it, and it's great. When I think of it, I just kind of put my head down like this. I said, geez, why wouldn't you be happy for people? It doesn't, and someone said this the other day, it doesn't take away from your success because somebody else is being successful. Positive energy, positive people. I said that when I was a motivational speaker, and it's one of the most factual statements you can make. Looking at my notes here, the San Jack Saloon. I did an open mic up there when I was in Austin, Texas. Back in Shakespeare's again. I was hitting a bunch of those shows up there. The Mothership, that was the big one, May 5th. That was the open mic and staff show. I was number 5 on May 5th. Jim Small was buried that day. That was we talked about that. That was just incredible. Joe Rogan's Club, the Mothership show. That was awesome. That's in episode 7. If you want to hear the audio's on episode 7. And that was really, really a rush. I was in Austin, Texas, late April into early May, just doing everything that I could do, and usually eating apples and water from the gymnasium, training up in the gym every day. Social media during the afternoon. We talked about this in episode 7. But once in a while, I had the special treat of Gus's world-famous fried chicken, and even one time I had Whataburger. And those are big spots out there in Austin, Texas. And I'm so happy to be able to do this. And I actually there's no way I can remember all these names, but I actually took some notes and looked back at the time out there in Austin, Texas. And I'd love to shout out and wish all these individuals a happy and healthy 2026 new year coming up. I was fortunate enough to make some friends. Most of these are just associates, but some of these are friends. And they became friends. And even if they're an associate or a casual friend, I still value that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again, because I will be back in Texas again. And when I do get back out there, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you, speaking to you, and just, seeing how you're doing in the grind down there on 6th Street in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna mention some of them right now to everyone. Their names of who I met out there, who I was able to share a stage with, who I became friends with, who I'm still in contact today with, who I've been on Kill Tony. Quite a few of these have been on the Kill Tony show, and some have even got the golden ticket. And they all need to be mentioned. The year in review 2025, part of my journey in April and May of 2025 was I was staying out in Austin, Texas for approximately 2 weeks, chasing down the dream, doing open mics. It was all business. It was work. No vacation. It was work. Social media, on foot, making contacts, doing open mics, studying shows, going to shows, talking to the barkers, watching the way it's done. The best way I explain it in Austin, Texas, it's like the Mardi Gras every night and the carnival all in one, and it's so exciting. And just the music and just everything. It's just what a great experience it was. And I'm glad that that's part of my 2025 being in Austin, Texas. After coming off the big show there in Cranston, Rhode Island, and then the show in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and shooting right out. Actually, literally days later after the Cranston, Rhode Island show, I flew out of Logan Airport in Boston, Massachusetts, straight into Austin, Texas. So some of the names here we go. Beautiful lady, Audrey Scott. She's hosting up there at the Rocco's Comedy Club. Audrey Scott, great comedian. She's been on Kill Tony. She's funny. She's just a good soul. And we've stayed in contact through Instagram. Shout out to Audrey Scott. Gary Gia. Gary, sorry, I screwed your name up in a previous podcast. I said your name was Glenn, but that was close. Gary Gia, great guy. And I think became a friend. I mean, after the Mothership show, that same night, I went up to Shakespeare's because I had my name in the bucket for Kill Tony that night, and so did Gary. Gary was so excited. He ran 20 feet in the air and jumped into my arms. And it's great stuff, man. And Gary, I can't wait to see Gary again. I hope to see him soon, and I'm sure I will. He's a great comedian. He travels all around. He's done some work out in Alaska. Gary, shout out to you. Also, a good friend of his that came up from Tennessee, goes by just Snooky, Stunky. He had the Raleigh Fingers mustache. Stunky, shout out to you. You're a good guy. You walked around with a cape on the whole night, some glitter cape, and you signed up for Kill Tony. We had a few laughs together, and hope to see you again too, brother, soon. Shout out to Snooky. Someone else in 2025 that I come across, Jason Vest. This guy's one of a kind. Jason Vest is headline across the country. He's been on Kill Tony, I believe, at least 2 times, maybe more. Jason Vest, hot shit, funny guy. Reminds me of from the Marx Brothers, the guy that blew the horn there, pushed on the horn. He couldn't talk with the curly hair, but Jason does talk. He talks a lot, actually. And another one is, shout out Gordon Dixon, manager, bartender at the Shakespeare's, been on Kill Tony, a Florida native. I believe we've become at least casual friends. Gordon Dixon, I've seen him pretty much every night that I was out there, the whole, 12, 13, 14 nights I was out there. I seen Gordon because he'd be at Shakespeare's. Just a pleasant guy, just a nice guy, just like a really good guy. Wish him all the best. Gordon, hope to see you again soon, brother. Matt Rivera, what a great guy. We took a photo together at the GNR bar. Matt Rivera, he's a funny guy. He's done some headlining. He's a pro out there in Austin, Texas. Matt Rivera, I've been able to share the stage with him for at least one, maybe two shows out there in Austin when I was out there. Matt Rivera, shout out to you. Jeremiah Bishop, another great guy. He hosted a lot of the shows at Shakespeare's, a few of them that I was on. Jeremiah is a funny guy. I remember him coming up at back to the GN bar one night. He had a great set that night. He had me freaking laughing. Jeremiah Bishop, shout out to you, brother. Gina Dulat from Russia. She's a great woman. I said, do you need a bodyguard? She said, no, I need a booby guard. A boobie. She has big boobs. It's kind of funny, but we are connected. We have each other's phone numbers. She's in L.A. When I do get out to L.A., 'cause that's something that I do want to do. And I'm actually talking with an agent in L.A., believe it or not, that's contacting me via phone. And L.A. is going to be 2026. When, I can't say, but 2026 is like it's going to be L.A. And my good friend, my very close friend, Cameron Dwan, lives in L.A., in the L.A. area. And so does Gina Dwan. And I'll definitely be seeing them and hopefully sharing the stage with them when I get out to L.A. and contact back with this agent/booker that I've been talking with for 2026. But Gina Dwan, and I'm probably butchering your name. I'm sorry, honey. But you're a sweetheart. She's been doing a lot. She's modeling. She's doing the different shows out there. The Dinky Show. I don't know. Some crazy stuff in LA that they do. Some fun stuff. Stand-up comedy and entertainment, because it is entertainment. Stand-up comedy is entertainment. If you didn't know, it is. Sarah Salone. Great lady. She's got the full-time job with Kill Tony. She's known for the horse sound. I met her at Creek in the Cave. She was nice enough to take a photo with me. Just a sincerely nice person and a funny person who I've even seen get better and better. And Tony Hinchcliffe giving her such a great opportunity, which I'm sure contributes to Sarah doing so good. And it all started with a horse sound, and she's a nice lady. And I was able to talk with her and see her perform at the Creek in the Cave. That open mic that I had done too, the same night. Blazing Nana giving out her stickers. She's a sweetheart. We connected on Instagram. Blazing Nana, shout out to you. Matt Burns, who sells beer. He's a salesman out there. Matt Burns, salesman. We ended up having a beer or two together and shared like an hour of conversation, a lot of laughs over there at Shakespeare's. Matt Burns, love you, brother. I'm going to see you someday again, man. Shout out to you, Matt Burns. Tommy Tickles. This guy drives from, I'm not sure exactly where he's driving from, but he's on a farm. He's been on Kill Tony multiple times. Funny guy. Not sure about the name, though, Tommy Tickles, but that's the name he uses. But, hey, that's what he does. But Tommy's a good guy. He's a funny guy. Ralph Duran, what can I say about Ralph Duran? A true friend of mine. He's one of my true friends that I made in Texas. New York City comedian, feature comedian, came in for Keeping It Real Comedy in 2025. Ralph Duran, shout out to you, brother. Love you, man. God bless you. Happy 2026 year to you, Ralph Duran. There's all these individuals I met in Austin, Texas. Nico Mack, out of Baltimore, Maryland, a true friend. Love you, brother. Happy 2026. Funny guy. We were in line together for the Kill Tony show. Hung out a while after the Kill Tony show, trying to get, with the bucket pulls, and, you're watching the previous show on the screen. Nico Mack, a good friend of mine. Shout out to you. Happy 2026, my brother. Also, a great friend of mine who I didn't meet in Texas, but we just passed in Texas, and we reconnected, and we became good friends, and we're friends to today. And I got to mention him, the Golden Ticket winner, Funny Charlie Mack, and also Hypnotist Goddess. And I was fortunate enough to work in 2025 at a show in 2025, and it was I'm taking a look at the notes here, because there's quite a few shows in 2025 that I was fortunate enough to be on. That was in the summer, and that was August 14th, Stamford, Connecticut, the New York Comedy Club. Had a guest spot for Funny Charlie Mack, and Hypnotist Goddess was the feature. Funny Charlie Mack, love you, bro. Happy 2026, healthy 2026 to you, bro. Good friend of mine, Charlie Mack. I definitely think we're going to be sharing the stage again in the next year coming up. I got a feeling we're going to be. So I think I met with some other ones. There's other names here. Chris and Faye, one's from L.A. Chris is from L.A. I think they're both maybe from Los Angeles. They were out there doing the open mics. Shout out to John French, an actor I met out there. Shout out to you, Nick and Rachel. Shout out to you folks, Jared and Alex. Hello to you. Happy New Year. Mo and Josie. Happy New Year, you two. Beautiful ladies. Monique and Brian. Great people. Fun people. I didn't get a chance to meet in person, but got connected with Donna Lee. She's a sweetheart. She's out that way. She's really making some big waves. And I got to mention him. He actually responded to my message. I gave him a compliment because I think he's hilarious. And he was cool enough to say, hey, thank you, man. Didn't say nothing about being gay or nothing. Just said, hey, thank you, man, which I was pretty cool with. Timmy No Breaks. The guy's hilarious. Shout out to you. And also Charles Reed, who is the backup drummer for the Kill Tony show. Charles and I have spoke a few times through Instagram. And Charles, maybe I'll see you. I didn't see you the first time out there in Texas. Maybe the second time around I'll be able to catch up to you and talk to you in person. Looking forward to it, brother. Happy New Year to all of you. And on the list here, and healthy 2026. 2025, it just kept on going, man. And it was when I got back. I'm taking a look at my index cards here. When I got back. It was in early May. Early May into mid-May. Early May, yeah. And then the shows at Seafood and Cone started up. You know, and they went all the way through. I'm looking at the list here. Multiple shows all through the summer, all clean shows, all ages. Crazy. When we say crazy, I mean, you could consider it crazy incidents like with the Gary Coleman lookalike from Different Strokes throwing rocks at me when I was on stage. The young man didn't like the comedy, I guess, and he was throwing rocks. He hit me in the left knee at one point with a rock. I didn't know that was possible, but it does happen. And being a heel in pro wrestling, objects were thrown at me, but being a stand-up comedian, I said, Jesus, why are they throwing shit? But that was something that you didn't, proceed to happen. You didn't think that something like that would happen. But we had a lot of fun in those shows. It was every Friday night, a new show. I brought in some new material every show. I hosted some of those shows. I headlined in some of those shows. I brought in different comedians every show. There were no back-to-back comedians coming in. They came in from all over. And we, and some, I'd say not even some, but quite a few comedians that did come in. I didn't even know them personally. Just wanted to give them an opportunity. And I did, and as a promoter, it was great, and it was a lot of shows in the summer, so I got a lot of experience working clean, which I think we can all use that experience, and so 12, 13 shows of clean work consistently for that 3-month span really helped out my experience as a stand-up comedian and also a promoter. We had DJ Robbie G in there from South Florida as our DJ. We would get the music over to him the night before, and it's a lot of preparation. Every show was quality. Looking forward to coming back. That was part of 2025. It was shows every Friday night, and it was great. It was great to be working with everybody, and everybody that I worked with was wonderful. I mean, everybody. I liked everybody that worked my shows in the summer of 2025. I liked them all personally. I had a lot of laughs with them, and I hope they enjoyed the show as much as I did. I think they did, and they got a little payday, and they got some stage time, which you don't see all the time. And during the mix, all during this, I was talking with the agent in L.A., like I had mentioned earlier, talking with the production of this. We talked about something coming up in 2026, the first quarter, keeping track of what was happening with, what was going on with this type of announcement. We're going to call it an announcement. Also, I was talking with, and still in somewhat negotiation. There's been a stall on the book, the autobiography on the book of the gentleman who also wrote a book on Abdullah the Butcher, who I was talking with. That all happened through the summer, and it was a lot going on, and opening up. I say opening up, but the guest spot for Charlie Mack in the summer at New York Comedy Club in Stamford, Connecticut. That was just amazing, and then to be able to do the mothership prior to that in May and being in Austin, Texas, all in the same year, 2025. Coming back in the late August, we were back in Cranston, Rhode Island, running these shows, and I'm taking the headline spot there and hitting the 2025 consistently. And those shows are 21 plus, and the audiences were all decent shows. I mean, we ran 6 shows there, and we had 2 shows that were close to pretty much a sellout for the capacity, 35 to 40. 2 of them were really packed, and the other 4 were get buyable. But they were Thursday nights, which is a tougher night. That's just the way it rolls. And a lot of times, you're not the only show in town too. So, that's just the way that it is. But those shows in Cranston, Rhode Island gave me a lot of experience working, longer stage time, and just giving it my all, people, and we got some great photos, great video, and great memories, and all in 2025 in Cranston, Rhode Island. Love it out there in that area. We don't know if we're returning in 2026. Possibly, anything's possible. Never say never, they say. But who knows what's next? There's 2 or 3 different venues that we're talking with right now. One is in Rhode Island, and 2 are in Massachusetts. These are nightclubs that we're talking with, and we're going to see what happens in 2026. It's going to be an interesting year coming in. After this 2025, the experience that I'm going to be bringing to the table will be definitely a couple notches up. It's a grind, and it's life too, and life's not easy, and things happen, and there's a lot of behind the scenes, different situations that you don't see, and speaking of that, during this time, I was contacted multiple times by a gentleman named Frank who wanted me to be on a podcast. Now, I didn't know who this guy at the gym today just lifted his shoulder out. I didn't know who this Frank was, and I didn't know who he was representing. But apparently, he had a podcast. He was working with someone that's been in the industry for a while. The podcast was Brian's World. There's another gentleman involved, and there was 3 of them. And there was something going on with it. Wanted to get Frank on one of my outdoor shows, and somebody else made an email and said, "Can you get Frank on one of those shows?" And and then Comedy Connection was mentioned, and it was just a whole little mix going on with it. And that's where the podcast was taped in a closed after hours Comedy Connection. And it was an interesting interview. It was an interesting interview on the podcast. I knew where it was going. I said it on the interview. I knew where it was going. I knew it. I had an idea where the questions were coming from, and the people wanted answers. And I stepped it up, and I went in there and I answered the questions. That's possibly a podcast for another episode. I mean, that could definitely be an episode talking about that situation with that podcast that I ended up going on and answering these questions from viewers or listeners, and these 3 different individuals shooting questions at me, shooting at me from either side, and from the back. So yeah, hey, listen, it's all a part of the game. Now, just the other day, I was advertising